myself a promise I wouldn't eat Taco Bell anymore. We're talking about some intense stuff here. Then Mike's book.
That's the only one.
Yes.
I turned the mics on.
Oh.
Are you sure? Because Terry turned them on.
They weren't on.
I just turned them off.
No, you didn't. I just turned them on.
Okay. Can we do a sound check? Testing.
Our mics are on all the time.
Testing. Testing. Oh.
Ours are on.
I should have said that Monday. I should have said that. I knew I shouldn't have had Taco Bell before.
Do you
John.
want to speak about the budget amendments, or would you like me to?
You.
Okay.
You're good, right?
I'm good. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
You guys are yucking it up way too much here. Is that just for you?
It's just cough drops if you want one, your cherry ones.
Oh.
And those aren't used to snot rays.
Here's FYI, I like the grapefruit.
I know of the Halls ones, and I couldn't find them.
Hey, Greg.
I looked for you.
See ya. Steak and bacon. You just cool it with the Wonder Woman recipe.
Closed session.
I always feel so low in
I know. I'm the same way. I practically have to sit on my foot. Just sit on your
I
foot.
need a pillow.
They're big chairs. Do you have a pen?
Where you want to sign it?
Wherever you want.
Give me this.
I think we need a cushion.
Hey, speed reading. Yeah, retention is what was he saying?
Our closed session.
Oh, yeah.
Have you signed closed session before?
Sure. Only one autograph per session. You sure you want this one right here?
Yes, that's the one I want.
I just noticed she didn't have it on there. I'm like,
No, but
I had one.
I put it. I should come prepared.
you're learning. Give you a few months, but you're learning.
You just gotta hit me on the head with this, maybe? I don't know.
I got one in my office. Do you want me to get it?
Kiss my wife who's running the car.
I can't do that with lunch mouth like that.
But you are good.
Yeah, love that.
I can only thank her eat a candy bar. I can't do
And then I don't do it.
If it goes like 8:30, are we gonna take intermission or something? So I guess we should take a potty break. I'm gonna go. Time out. Potty break. Alright. You said 8:20.
Get some from my office and then and I'll have one and then when
You know,
you're out
Jimmy
of line
Buffett sings
and
about a
order.
25-pound muscle punch.
Use that.
Both legs.
25 pounds.
That's a lot. I would, hey, I can answer. This would hurt.
It's gotta be, what, 2 ounces?
It's not.
Goodness. All right.
Hey, right here. Just call me Mr. Crunch. Terry, are the mics on? Yeah, they're both right. How'd that happen? They're hot. All right. I think we're ready to call the meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
justice for all.
All right. Take roll call for us, Pam.
Sure. Greg Carnes,
Here.
Jennifer Eden. Here. Sarah Dolman Jersey. Here. Herman Ferguson.
Here.
Dean Hawes.
Here.
Chris Rapetta.
Here.
Pam Loeffler. Here.
All right. Moving on to the approval for the agenda.
Greg,
We have any changes?
I just have a
Yes.
comment. I think we should maybe consider tabling number 3 in new business, the request to amend Tyrone Woods, because there was no request included in the packet. There was all the historical information, but the actual request itself was absent. So maybe we can table that to the next meeting.
Well, we have a presentation from them, which we're considering to be the request.
Well, I'm just saying, in the past, the board members have complained about information not being able to be reviewed by the other members and the public prior to the meeting. And for those people who didn't get to the meeting are going to miss this presentation and things like that. And I understand there's inconvenience, but that's been the typical way we've handled that.
Yeah, I'm gonna, it's really just a request. We actually don't even need to act upon it if we don't feel we have enough information. But I do want to keep it on the agenda and to bring it to light. And I want to hear, or at least share, this PowerPoint from them. They're here tonight, right? Yeah, so we'll.
Then let's consider not voting on it so that the public can have a chance to review the recording until the next time around, just so that we can have the presentation if that's the case, but to not take any action tonight on it. That'd be my recommendation, at least.
Okay, well, I mean, we can discuss that when it comes up.
Well, we're
end.
discussing it at the approval of the agenda.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up now.
Okay, all right. I'm going to leave it on the agenda. Are there any other changes?
I make a motion, we accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose?
No.
All right, moving on to the approval of the consent agenda. I trust everybody's looked at the minutes. We just signed the closed session. Treasurer's report.
I have a number of questions, Greg. If I don't have to go first if other people have comments, but.
So there is a correction on page 1. Underneath called to order, it says Supervisor Cunningham, and it should say Supervisor Carnes.
Okay, I missed that. Did you put that in there? Tease me? Yeah. All right, Chris. You have a
In the
question?
public comments area, there's a lot of quotes during the public hearing that don't align with what the video says as far as, so we tend to seem to be cherry picking what we want to say from quoting the people who stood up for public comment. I noticed that those quotes in preparing for the meeting didn't align. From Jim Combs, said some things, and some of the things they were quoted, but not exactly like he said. And we had another thing even from Scott Dietrich that what he was explaining, and that's not all he said. So we seem to be either just picking out sentences, and I think there was another one from Debbie Wendell that said something about the salaries, but it wasn't we should either include everything that they say during the public hearing as a quote, or not just cherry pick would be my concern with that one. think, additionally, because I wasn't here for the budget meeting, or the budget discussion, I think it was noted that we had previous year's budget discussions in February, and even if you read these particular budget area here, that we're marching toward a resolution to have the discussion and a special workshop to discuss budgetary items with the whole board in February 1st. And that, going back a year, we can also see the same thing, that the resolution says that we have to have that budget discussion by February 1st to begin that discussion in a special meeting. And that didn't take place this year, so we're technically in violation of that resolution from last year, which is an exact copy of what we put in for this year's in the March 4th meeting minutes for next year. So I'm concerned about the violation of that by not giving us time to discuss over the month and a half period of time before we, because the budgets are so important to this community. The other question I had about the budget was, on that topic, was do we normally get a report of where we are with the budget? Here's the budget, and we should have some report that says we're so much spent. I mean, if this department has $100,000 that have been allocated for the year, here it is 4 months later, and they've spent $25,000 of that. I don't see any evidence that we do that, but that's a side comment.
That's the green card.
Yeah,
Which could be an improvement
yeah.
for budget discussions.
I guess we could publish the entire green bar report if that is what people really want to go through.
Well, I think that would be helpful. I mean, but I mean, I'm just pointing out my concerns with the
Yeah.
consent agenda, stating these things, but we didn't do them in that sense. Also, we did have, during the meeting on page 12 of today's packet, there was a vote, and Dean had, it's indicated in there that Dean voted yes for the supervisor's salary. He actually, according to the video, voted no, so that needs to get corrected.
I don't think he voted no.
I did.
And you can go to the YouTube channel at 1 hour and 49 minutes to hear that. So just to refresh your memory.
I believe you didn't say anything, actually.
Okay, just check the video. It's quite audible. So I'm just,
That's all right.
well, a vote is an important thing
Yeah.
to get it right, and
Yeah.
that should be
We
corrected.
could correct the minutes. Yep.
And it'd be kind of nice if they spelled my name right.
We're still got the,
Yeah, there's a number, if you can spell check the whole packets about Dean's name, there's a number of places where Haas is spelled incorrectly still. That was it from
all
the
right.
consent agenda notes that I had.
So you have those corrections noted?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I'll look for a motion for approval with the corrections.
I make a motion.
I got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, with the corrections, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's with the
Corrections.
corrections. Yep. All opposed? Okay. Moving on to communications. Any questions or notes on the Plan Commission, the Livingston County Sheriff Report, Plan Commission synopsis?
Make a motion to accept and place on file communications.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. All right, public remarks. And remember, it's agenda items only, please. Anybody? Yeah, Scott?
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. In the
Tyrone Woods. I think we've had enough. We got 2 manufactured home parks, and I don't think we should go any more than what they already were approved for. Hogan Road's getting a beating now. Our school systems are overwhelmed with taxpayer money. They're not putting enough money into the school system from those parks anyway. And they're really not charging fees that are what I would call for people that are low income. So I really think that adding any more homes would be no, definitely no.
All right, thank you, Scott. Anybody else? Yeah, Jeanette?
Jeanette Rupetta, Tyrone Township resident. I'll speak also on the request to amend the Tyrone Woods consent judgment, item number 3. And for those wondering, that has to do with Hogan Road, the road where fellow residents have been suffering for 10 plus years. Recently a fatal accident and just pure misery for the people that live there. So this item is about the trailer park called Tyrone Woods and its expansion. I also, came to light before the meeting started, but where is the actual request to amend this consent judgment? So I hear that there's a presentation, but it was just introduced today, and we've been told that the meeting information has to be all in the packet by the Wednesday prior. Apparently not.
Jeanette, excuse me, can you make sure that mic's on? Okay, can you, it's not catching you. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, can I start again then, please?
I'll just stop it for a second and then let you continue. Go ahead.
Okay, so regarding item number 3, Jeanette Rupetta, Tyrone Township, the request to amend the Tyrone Woods consent judgment to allow for expansion. For those wondering, this has to do with Hogan Road, the road where fellow residents have been suffering for 10 plus years, recently a fatal accident, and just pure misery for the people that live there. This item is about the trailer park called Tyrone Woods and its expansion. And so again, I do ask, where is the actual request to amend this consent judgment? And I really don't think it's appropriate to put in a presentation at the last minute. How many additional trailers are we talking about? From what I can see, there are multiple large parcels involved. So are we looking at a gradual build out by developers, or are they going to come back again next year and request even more expansion? Those are questions I have. And let's talk logistics. Those trailers cannot come in off Linden Road. The turn is too tight, so again, Hogan residents get hit. Hundreds of trailers, maybe in 2 pieces, plus delivery trucks, setup crews, it's going to be a mess. Then after they're installed, there'll be a huge increase to the regular traffic. You can count on 2 or more cars per trailer park, and then it'll be, at least, and then it'll be massive increase in traffic on Hogan Road. Are we requiring a formal traffic study before advancing this issue in any way? Because we've talked about the truck traffic before on this road and the accidents and the deaths. How can we not demand that a study for what will likely be hundreds of additional vehicles? And what about the sewer system? We've already had major problems. I have heard solutions discussed, but most of them sound like guesses. And the horrible smell, which, by the way, residents on Hogan Road say didn't start until after the 2nd edition of the trailer park was built. Was there ever an investigation into that and how hundreds of new people using this new system is going to affect it? I don't know how board members can sit here tonight and pretend to know enough about what residents on Hogan Road are dealing with to advance something like this, so I certainly hope that you don't. Because if this was your street or your home or your property value on the line, I would assume that you wouldn't accept this. Last week there was a county commission meeting, I'm not sure which body, but Greg, you were there, and Hogan Road was discussed, and there were residents there, and I'd like to know when we're going to get an update on that meeting to find out what they said, because I heard they were very favorable about looking after these problems and say, yes, there can be something done. And finally, can we please make Hogan Road a standing agenda item for the board under finished business or even miscellaneous? Even if there's no update, please at least acknowledge it. Residents need to know it's not being ignored. One final thought I'd like you to know, and I'll finish up. I'm positioned to start a signage campaign with Hogan Road, and there are several activities that go along with that. I'm hopeful the board will make certain actions, take certain actions, so I don't need to follow through. But meanwhile, the signs are ready to be printed. And so to avoid that campaign, I'm asking the board 2 things. Please provide us with regular updates, put it on the agenda, and second, form the committee that you talked about to include residents from Hogan Road. And if I don't get confirmation, then I'm just going to plaster this township similar to the asphalt plant with signage. This has been 10 years plus that these guys have been going through this. It won't be limited to Hogan Road. They've suffered long enough with no action from the township to help them. So let's get together and help them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kurt Schultz, Silver Lake Estates, number 2. I want to address number 8 on the new business. I support Mr. Galuli as counsel for the board. Mr. Galuli happened to have a good quote in the paper, which I'm going to read. Tyrone Township is extremely pleased with the written opinion and the order of Judge Longworth. What happens going forward is a decision that a majority of the Board of Trustees will have to make in the coming days. If I had my way, Mr. Repetta would immediately resign from the Planning Commission with hopes that the entire issue would begin to go away. This has been and will continue to be a completely unnecessary waste of resources and time. We have to do better. Our elected officials have to do better, and we must insist on it. You were elected to do a job, and instead you're turning the township into a laughingstock, and you continue to do so. Enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Anybody else? Sure.
Jim Combs, I want to say something in regards to what Chris Repetta said. As far as the quotes, quoting the resident comments, I don't know who typed that up. I'd like to know. Because it said, Jim Combs came up here and said the board was not being transparent with the budget. Play the video right now. Stop it when I say that. When you say I said that, you're quoting me. Nothing of the kind. I asked a question about this surplus that we have. I want an answer. Saying that I said, tell me where I said the word transparent. Tell me where I said that. I challenge anyone watching this video to go back and watch that, read your quote of me. And then it says that I was informed that the budget and any relevant information is on the front page of the website. Basically, go find it yourself, dude. We don't have an answer for you. And then it says that I stated, meaning these words came out of my mouth, no one reads the website. That's a freaking joke. I never said anything of the kind. So my suggestion with that, whoever's responsible for that, I would be very careful about doing that, quoting me that badly. You actually didn't even twist words. You put words into my mouth. And I find it interesting, you didn't repeat the question that I asked, because I don't think you want a light shined on this millions of dollars that's sitting somewhere. Why didn't you just repeat, quote me correctly? So I have to disagree with him. Nothing in there is what I said. Nothing. And like I said, I'll play the video right now. I got nothing to hide. But as far as what the guy that just came up here said, you know, with this censure thing, I'm not here to defend Chris Repetta. I'm not here to defend the township. I don't even know where the guy lives. I've talked to him probably twice in my life. But I'm a guy who seeks out the truth, right? So if there's this censure that's going to be drug into probably a court case, I stand here as a considered citizen going, is my tax money going to be spent on a case that has no legs to stand on? So I read the Open Meetings Act, which is the law you're referencing, and I'm going to run out of time. obviously, so I'll finish it later. But this resolution is so full of holes, it's ridiculous. I have to get to the first line. On the Open Meetings Act, the definition of a meeting, and I'll read it. A convening of public body at which a quorum is present. I had to get that part. A definition of a meeting. How can one violate the Open Meetings Act without having a meeting? If two people, so if two of you pass each other in the hall and talk about something, is that a meeting? No, because there has to be minutes. And I'll finish it next time I come up.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else? All right. Moving on to unfinished business. Anybody?
I'd just like to make a suggestion, following up on what Jeanette said. If we have something that's outstanding from now on, it should always be an old business. Even if we don't have an update, to know that it's still out there standing, we're still working on it. And it won't hurt us to put it on the agenda just as an item. And if there's an update, then we can say, tell them what the update is. If there's no update, we can simply say, old business, Hogan Road, still working on whatever, still in process. There's no real update at this time. But I think all of our items that are outstanding should be in that, every single agenda item.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, moving on to new business. Are there any questions on number one, the final 2024-2025 budget?
Can you take us through the amendments that have been added?
Certainly.
Thank you.
So in the general fund, your consultants, our current budget was $7,500. Right now, we're at a balance of $18,975. Suggested amendment is to $25,000. Consultants is attorney fees because we have incurred additional costs that we didn't foresee when we planned this budget in February of '24. Computer and software annual maintenance, that was just a maintenance. Current budget is $10,042.38. Suggested amendment to $12,000. I think that includes our new IT because that cost was an additional. Capital outlay, that is the cameras in which we had to install for security reasons and for the voting. Social Security, the Social Security, the dental and health insurance, those went up just because of the cost going up that we didn't project going up. As you know, everything in last year went up. Liability insurance line went up, proposed as suggested, $25,947. So that didn't go up too much. But it's just because of our liability insurances. Workers' comp, they added a new audit process or policy, so that's why that went from $4,000 to $6,353. Street lighting, all of those are because consumers up their rates. So you see they just went up a little bit from, the first one is $25.46 going to $26.50, excuse me. Street lighting in Jane Hill, which is a special assessment, went from $1,200, and we have to suggested the amendment to $1,340. Walnut Shores was $160, projected or suggested is $200, and Shannon Glen Rubbage, we had some legal fees, so that is amended to $165.
On the general fund for the street light, what lights are those? Just out of curiosity.
They're on the,
I mean, it's the largest one of all of them, but it says general.
Well, I think it's in our
And I'm just
subdivisions where we have street lights.
Subdivision, okay,
Yes.
that's what I was
Yep.
wondering, okay.
Yep, there's just a couple,
Yeah.
a few of them,
Yeah.
but, so that's
Okay,
that one.
makes sense.
So it's up,
Yeah,
you know, like $100, but
yeah.
just because the prices of everything have went up.
Can we put, from now on, put like general fund / subdivision so that it's obvious to everybody? Because, I mean, the only reason I'm asking is every other one, we've identified an exact lighting.
Right.
So that way they'll know it's a
Yeah.
general lighting for like a subdivision.
Yep. We
Just that.
typically don't have to adjust these, but just because consumers up their rates.
Just
so.
in the future, that'll make it easier
Yep.
for everybody to know what it is anyways.
Yep, and then
Yeah,
the Jane
perfect.
Hill lighting, you see that, that is under the Jane
Yeah.
Hill lighting and Walnut.
Yeah,
and-
everything else, like I say,
Shannon
is
Glen.
identified very well.
Yep, so these are normal amendments that we have to do prior to our closing of our year. Did you have anything to add to that, Pam?
Just that the Shannon Glen, the legal fees for that there was an issue with the cost. They had Republic providing services, and Republic raised their rates at the end of our contract, but the SAD is still in effect. And so we needed to determine, do we dissolve it? If we do dissolve it, how do we dissolve it? Or can we get another contractor in there? And we actually went with another contractor after we found out what we were able to do. And so now Dougie's is providing service for them. But that's what that was from.
Just to be clear too, that those Jane Hill, Walnut, and Shannon, although they're under the umbrella of the general fund, those are special assessment funded funds, so,
That's why you pull them out separate?
yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yes, thank you. All right, there's no further questions. Entertain a motion?
I make a motion.
We have a second.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, moving on to number 2, authorization to take legal action against property owners for a zoning violation. We have a house that's been in disrepair for some time, and it's obviously past ownership, and we can't seem to get them to move on making it a safe. It's really an unsafe,
Parcel.
yeah, I mean, the building foundation is falling apart. You can see from some of the pictures.
Yeah, the foundation has disappeared on
Yeah.
a vast portion of it.
Yeah.
Animals are living in there, critters.
We ask them to secure it. We have a picture of the padlock on the door. It's like, I don't
That's
know.
secure.
Yeah, that's secure, all right.
That's air conditioning at its best.
Chuck, on this here, we've had several things. We have an old business on 23 that's been for 3 years. So you'll send them a letter. They'll end up going to court. They'll ignore it. It'll still stay there like so many in this township.
I would tell you this, is that it's likely that the property owner will not do what they're supposed to do.
He's just got to be close.
It's likely that the property owner will not do what they're supposed to do. The judges do have the authority to find them in contempt and actually put them in jail. If the property owners don't have the money to do what they're supposed to do, it's just not going to get done. And I will tell you too that the judges are very reluctant to put them in jail. It would take probably a couple of years for that to happen before a judge would put them in jail. So township is going to have to make a decision if they want this structure removed if the property owner doesn't do it even though they're ordered. And that would be whether the township wants to spend the money to have the structure torn down with a court order and then hope to recover the funds through a lien on the property or otherwise.
Chuck, we have discussed that, not necessarily on this particular piece, but other ones. And I'm not sure the township wants to invest that money and then wait for that parcel to be sold and recoup that money. I mean,
And my understanding is if we tear the building down, we pay for it, and then the property goes into tax foreclosure, we get zero.
No, we
we still
would recoup that money.
We would
Yes.
recoup
At the
at
time of
sale.
sale.
Yeah.
Yep, anything owed to the township has to be paid
Yeah.
first.
if they
All the taxes.
foreclose on the taxes and
It goes
the
in
county
tax.
takes it, we still collect. We have a
Yeah.
lien on it.
Yeah.
We would have a lien on the property. The thing is, you know, I've done this, I've had demo companies give me
Quote.
a budget, you know, hey, drive by here and give me, just give me a swag at it, okay? And so that I have an idea on what the township would have to invest, and I have not on this particular one, but I have on others, and most of them, you are probably looking at anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 to have it demoed and all the stuff hauled away.
And if there's a foundation, you'd want the foundation filled in.
Yep, yep.
Not sure where the location is, what the property value is on this, so it doesn't give a location, so.
This particular one is on Linden Road.
Okay.
I can tell you I have talked to people that are interested in purchasing it, so, but
Well, I guess
You have
that's
to get the
gonna be
people
my
to sell
next
it.
question.
That
Next
would be the
question would
well,
be,
this one is for sale.
Yeah.
This Linden Road is for sale.
would it be more appealing to somebody to purchase if the structure was gone?
Depends if they're a contractor and could do the work
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah, and this,
Yeah, but even if they do it themselves, they've got the time, they've got the trucking, they've got the material they gotta get rid of. If it was gone and we can get our money back, would it be more appealing to have that structure gone and make it quicker for us to not only repair the building being gone, but get our money back?
Probably, but I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. What we have to do is authorize legal action, so Chuck can take it to the courts
Understand, I
and
just-
have them rule
it-
for us to do such action.
This all depends on, makes a decision on what we do. If we're wasting money, then it changes what we tell Chuck. Whereas if we do take legal action, either they're gonna fix it themselves, which would be good, or hopefully we could get a court order to remove the structure, and then at least get the property sold and recoup our money. Am I correct on that, Chuck?
You are correct. Keep in mind that if the property is sold, if it's sold after the township tears it down, the property owners may decide they're going to increase the price because it's more appealable. And so just because we tear it down, if we don't have ownership, doesn't mean it's going to sell faster.
Yeah, I understand. But even if they do, they're gonna increase the price because now it is more attractable and it is worth more money because the structure's not there to be torn down.
I agree. It's going to go up by at least the cost of tearing it down and removing the debris.
Which means that the property owner is gonna get what they would hope to get it as it sets. But again, with the structure gone, I have to believe it's more appealing to sell.
Sure.
So, and it may be a way for us to help not only the resident, but the community.
Chuck, you indicate there's a letter that you sent with deadlines, but that deadlines aren't included in the packet. Can you describe what those deadlines, are these legal deadlines? Are they?
They're not legal deadlines. They're deadlines to do it, or the township will take alternate action. And I can't remember what those deadlines were. It was probably 30 days or something like that. You know, what we
I should
hope
know
to
it was
do.
like 6 months, or if
No.
we'd be waiting for
No.
another 12 months before we could do anything.
No,
with those, yeah.
usually what I ask in a situation like this is that within a certain time frame, they come to the township with a plan. At least that gets the ball rolling. There's no way I could do a letter that would be taken seriously. It says, get the house torn down within 2 weeks and have the debris hauled away, because it's not going to happen.
Sure.
Right. I can also share with you that this particular piece is owned by a real estate agent, and that their initial plan was to try and repair this and sell it, but they determined that it was too costly to repair. So,
It's in our board packet, the letter that was sent to
Yeah.
Ms. Chambers at Remax Platinum.
yeah, it's all, should all be in there, yeah.
It's all in there.
I think I heard somebody say that we've done this, we've had to do this in the past, is that right?
Yes.
Is there a basic kind of timeline template that we're following that, of taking certain actions at certain times, or is that different for every property and circumstance, or if this is a regular kind of thing, do we have, more of a pattern of how we would enforce or try to enforce?
I think Chuck would be best to
Yeah,
answer that
I mean-
question.
Each scenario is going to be different.
Yeah.
I will tell you that usually the process starts here at the township level, where the zoning department sends their letters out and asks that the property owners take care of a situation. I'm going to guess some of the times they say, come on in and we'll try to work out a plan to get this taken care of. After those attempts have been ignored, or after the property owner says they will do something and then they don't do it, it comes to me. And then I start that process over again. The hope is that because it's coming from an attorney's letterhead, that'll catch their attention and they'll take some action. I will tell you that in many of these situations, if not most of these situations, there's a problem with the ability of the property owner to finance whatever we expect them to do. There is a business on Old 23 that we have a judgment against to have the property owners tear down a structure and remove the debris. They simply don't have the money to do so. And that's always going to be a factor as to whether or not they will cooperate and do something. So what should we do? We take a look at it on a case-by-case basis. The cheapest way is for the township to continue reaching out from the zoning department first, in hopes that that takes care of the situation. And then I can try, and if it doesn't look like there's going to be any progress, file the lawsuit if the township board authorizes.
The letter I see in the packet says they had 30 days to comply, and I have concerns about the safety of leaving the structure up. I mean, it's severely dilapidated.
I believe that structure was inspected by the county building department.
Correct.
And they've indicated in the letter that there is a danger of collapse. The county would have required that the property owner obtain a engineer's certificate that says that this property can be, or this structure can be rehabilitated before the county would take a look at any building plans. And so, yes, this structure is a hazard of collapse, but it's also a health hazard because there are vermin inside that structure.
So Chuck, on this here, obviously it's not an insured building. What if kids came in here and fell and hurt, or something collapsed on them and injured them, or God forbid, killed them? Then they'd have to go back and sue the home or the property owner on that.
Yes.
So she has a huge liability letting this building sit like it is and not doing anything about it.
That is correct. There'd be a huge liability, but even more troublesome, there could be an armed or killed person.
So I make a motion, we send a letter, get it rolling.
We've already sent the letter.
Yeah.
So the next step would be to file a lawsuit.
Suggesting legal action.
Yeah, yeah,
This is court.
This would be the authorized to take legal action.
yeah.
So is that your,
One more
motion?
quick question for you, Chuck. Are we allowed to go after the legal fees if we ended up doing a tear down?
We always have a right to request legal fees, and I do all the time. But I will tell you that the ability to recover attorney fees is extremely limited. It's only when there's a specific law that says in this type of case that you can. So in this type of case, don't expect that you're going to get your attorney fees paid for. However, if the judge issues some sort of judgment, an injunction or whatever, and the property owner continues to disobey that order, there is a potential that the judge could find that person in contempt and order that they reimburse the township for some of the fees that have been incurred.
So now I'm going to ask you one more quick question. What do you think, and I understand this is hard to say because of the process, and I know with Running Lake, we were going through some processes with some other houses. What do you think this is going to cost the township in attorney fees? Rough guess.
Well, if,
5,000, 10,000, 20,000.
let me give you two different scenarios here to give you some sort of idea. On some of these types of cases, you will get no response from the property owner, and you will get a default judgment against them. So the cost of doing something like that, it would be filing a complaint, serving the individual, and defaulting them. Then you would have to file a motion for default judgment. So you're probably looking at 10 or 15 hours of attorney time at, I think our rate is 165. However, if they do challenge it, then this could drag on for a couple of years. That property that I was speaking about on Old 23, that was in front of the trial court for close to 3 years, I believe. The property owner then appealed it to the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals affirmed the trial court, ordering that the property owner tear the structure down and haul away the debris. That case was extremely expensive because, as I indicated, judges are reluctant to force a property owner to tear something down. Now, they'll say that early on, but to enforce it by finding a person in contempt is a difficult thing to do. So that case went on for probably more than 2 years with a judgment having already been entered. But the judge would hear from the property owner at a court hearing and give them another chance. And so, depending on which judge we have for the case, one may act a little bit quicker than the other. Other ones will take more time.
But at any point, we could decide to not resume the legal action, right?
Well, once you start the lawsuit, it's
Tough to stop.
it takes the consent of the property owner to do so. Otherwise, we have to ask the court, and the court could put conditions upon that. Also understand, too, that if we start an action and for whatever reason we want to discontinue it, the property owner may say, okay, I'll agree that you can dismiss your lawsuit, but it has to be with prejudice. The difference between a lawsuit being dismissed with prejudice versus without prejudice means that you can't ever bring it back again if it's with prejudice. And so if we want to dismiss something, it's because the property has been cleaned up.
Chuck, on stuff like this here, like in the city of Flint, when you have a dead, dangerous tree, you have so much time to take the tree down. If you don't, they come and hire somebody, and it could be a lot more money, and they put it right on their tax rolls. Could we do that if we spent $25,000 to tear that house down? Could we put that on the tax roll and they don't assume that? Is that how it works?
We don't have an ordinance that allows us to do that.
But we could in the future?
Technically, we're not supposed to put things on tax rolls unless authorized. Getting a court order that authorizes is usually the way to do so. I will tell you, though, from a practical standpoint, is that property owners aren't going to do anything about it if you put a lien on it after having removed the tree that they should have done. So if it's not challenged, it's no harm, no foul.
Because if you drive around the township, there's a lot of houses just like that, just sitting empty.
Yeah. I can always look into see what ability we would have to do something like that, and I can give you some sort of idea.
Herman, were you going to make a motion, or I will?
If you want to go ahead.
Okay. I make a motion to authorize our legal counsel to take action against those property owners.
I
The
support
zoning
it.
violations.
I support it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carried. Bill? All right. Will you, tell the board your name and who you work for and all that good stuff so they know what I know?
Sure will. Pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Bill Anderson. We're with Atwell. We're a land development consulting firm. We're going to be doing the planning and engineering on the proposed expansion if it moves forward. So pleasure to be here tonight just to introduce our thoughts on the expansion and, you know, get feedback from the board and hopefully find a direction forward. So I got a brief presentation I'd like to go through. Also, Jennifer from our team is here, and one of the owner's reps are here as well. So if there's any questions, again, we're here to answer any questions the board or may want to ask. So, yeah, good evening. So the owner summary, the Tyrone Woods is what we're talking about. It was developed in 1999. Brookfield Management is the owner-operator of the community. It's a family-run operation. They've basically been involved since the beginning. It's a very well-maintained, safe residential community. The family provides weekly site inspections and meetings with the community managers and addresses issues as they come up, like every community does. Tyrone Woods provides a great market rate, affordable, single-family housing opportunity that's in high demand in this area and quite frankly across the United States. A little bit about the existing community out there. When we're built out, we're still building homes right now in the latest phase. We'll have 403 home sites on 88 acres. It's serviced by a public sewer system to the county, Genesee County system. We have a private water source on-site, groundwater. We have 3 wells. We have water treatment facility. We have a good distribution system with no pressure issues, no leaks. Multiple entrances on Hogan Road. As you can see, we're about 2 miles off the expressway there. And we have full-time community management at the residential community. So, in regards to the proposed expansion, our current plan has 291 home sites on 66.5 acres. It's a little less dense than the existing community, about 4.4 units an acre. The existing zoning out there is farming residential, which is kind of a big zone across the township. The township future land use for this expansion area, there's almost a 20-acre quasi-public in the southwest corner, but most of it, 46 acres of the expansion area, is future land use is designated as mobile home residential. So it's intended to be another expansion here. A little bit more on that. Again, the 48 acres was of the expansion area was the old sewage lagoon and a spray field area. It was reclaimed, cleaned up, and actually discussed as being 247 units on that 48 acres. It was discussed in one of the consent judgment amendments. Again, the other 20 acres in the southwest corner of the expansion was cut out as a potential future wastewater treatment plant that never got used, so it was conveyed back to Tyrone Woods in 2013. I would assume that's why it was designated as quasi-public, because it was anticipated to potentially be a treatment plant. Not really necessary, obviously, at this time. A little bit more about our proposed expansion features. We're looking at land lease home sites. The sizes were proposed here are 55 by 110 deep, which is quite a bit bigger than the existing community. The existing community has a standard lot size of 52, so we're 3 feet wider on the frontage and 20 feet deeper by 90. So 52 by 90 in the existing community, we're looking at 55 by 110 for this proposed expansion. So we're showing a little traditional residential block layout. As you can see, we're proposing to connect to the county sewer system, which is in the northwest corner of the expansion area. There's a pump station there on property. We're looking to expand and upgrade the water system, already a good system, but we'll add capacity and some additional redundancy. And then we're proposing a couple community amenities out there. We have a nice mail center up near one of the easterly entrance. We're looking at adding a gazebo and gathering area by the mail center, create a little more seating area and gathering area. And then we have a couple locations in the expansion on the easterly side, put some type of gathering area for the residents, and then on the west side as well with a wetland overlook. You'll see our wetland detention pond and wetlands off to the west. So, and it's got pretty nice topography there. So a pretty nice view. We're looking to put a little gathering area over there as well. This plan has about almost 13 acres open space, or 20% of open space on the property, which is fairly significant. And the homes will all be multi-sectional homes with pitched roofs, similar to the existing community that's out there. So we're pretty excited about it, and that's all I really had. And again, we're open to any questions the board may have.
Has there been any review by the county as to how this proposed development would impact the sewer structures that are existing?
We have not met, regarding the sewer?
Yeah.
No, we have not confirmed that with the county as yet. Obviously, that's one of many pieces we need to confirm, yeah.
Right.
A big concern I have that a citizen addressed is the traffic. You've got right now 291 homes there. You're expanding a lot more. You said you have multiple entrances. How many do you have on Hogan Road?
Herman, to be clear, there's 403. 403, only 363 built out right now.
Okay.
But their expansion, they're proposing the 291, just so you know.
291 new ones?
Additional.
Right,
Okay.
an additional
Yes.
400.
So that would be a total of 694 if everything's fully built out, and there's 2 primary access points out to Hogan Road.
So you're still going to keep the same ones and add this 291 more homes?
That's correct. Yeah.
Have you checked with Deerfield Heartland Fire Authority?
In regards to,
Having that many, 600 and some odd units with just 2 entrances?
we'll certainly run that check,
Yeah,
but it's going to be,
I
I presume that'd be,
would definitely be a concern.
I have a question. The lots are 55 by 110. What's the average size of the home you're going to put on it? Width, length?
the most typical home size is 28 by 64. That's about 1,800 square feet, so, yeah.
Do you normally see 2 vehicles per unit?
Yes, and if you go out there, you won't see a lot of street parking and none of that. So the existing community's functioning will be similar in driveway configuration. There's some small sidewalk accesses out there, street lighting. We'll extend those infrastructure amenities into the expansion.
Yeah, I was less concerned about the inside the community and more concerned about the 600 additional cars to the road traffic
on
out on Hogan Road.
We're open to a traffic study, absolutely, and
We
so,
talked about that.
100%.
And we especially need that now with the last, we've had several accidents at Linden and Hogan, one of them fatal. And
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
pretty,
When we do the study, we'll ask your folks if you have a consulting engineer, and we'll talk to the county, and they'll generally assess traffic patterns close, and if they want us to assess an intersection, we would assess an intersection. And I've noted that Linden and Hogan might be one that has not looked at, so.
It just seems like a lot of traffic on a two-lane road. And everything coming out of two entrances.
Well, it would be a lot of traffic if they built up to the 694. If each home has an average of two cars,
Yep.
you're talking 1,200 cars easily in and out of there. Along with the 50 parcels that are owned, personally owned on Hogan Road,
From here to 23.
right?
And the truck route traffic.
And the truck route. So I have quite a few concerns. Your evaluation of this park is different than mine. I have been in office for 8 years. I have heard from many residents who live in there along with Sun Communities. I have heard from complaints from the sewer, the water, the management, the billing. It's not affordable housing. So from a board, being on the board, I think I have to share these because we have new board members that may not know, and maybe they do. But let me start with saying that we have 2 mobile home communities, and they're zoned MHP. I'm not sure where you're getting all the other zoning. It is zoned right now FR, so that would have to go through the rezoning process.
It's master planned for mobile home.
In the master plan,
Yeah.
it is that additional property,
Uh,
I'm pretty sure is FE.
The 50 of the 66 acres, future land use is mobile home residential, and 20 is designated as quasi-public, which again, I think was done for purposes that property was deeded for purposes of wastewater.
I would
treatment
have to
plant.
look at that because I
Yeah.
looked at it today.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure it's FR.
Sure.
But anyways, in the master plan, when I'm looking at it, so Tyrone Woods, you have 89 acres, Sun Communities has 150 acres. There's nothing in the master plan that I see that the board indicated to increase that mobile home parks district. The survey included into the master plan indicates that residents think we have enough mobile homes. I tend to agree with them. In one of the questions in that survey, and we have the whole master plan, you can have a copy of it. One of the questions is, what level of support do you have for the following type of residential developments, mobile homes? Now, this is a survey that we sent out to the communities.
Sure.
To the residents, not just the mobile home parks.
Right.
So 58% said they strongly oppose to mobile homes, 35% opposed, and only 7% supported. So the proposed property around there, like I said, I believe is FR, and would have to be rezoning. Rezoning, which would include thousands of dollars in studies. We're talking a traffic study that we've talked about, because of Hogan Road is heavy traffic, from the residents, the community, Tyrone Woods, and the gravel trucks. We would need a sewer study to make sure the pump station can handle the additional flow. We'd also need an environmental study, impact study to include the stormwater, because I believe there's a storm, or a stream
Retention.
to the,
Or Creek to the west?
yes, Oar
Correct,
Creek, yep.
yes, yes.
Also, we would have to look at expanding our public safety resources. We have 2 mobile home communities, and they take a lot of our resources. A huge amount due to the density. There's so many people in such a small network, acreage, right? So we have substantial number of affordable housing, I believe. So we have 44.
Well, I will just add to that back when this was first put in, townships were mandated by the federal government to have high-density housing.
Right.
And our township has far exceeded the units required by that federal mandate.
Yeah, that is true.
Just know that.
So out of the 4,431 parcels in our township, 3,716 have homes on them. We have 2 mobile parks. Tyrone Woods has 403, or can build to 403. Currently, they have 363 built in there. Sun Communities has 621. That's 1,024 homes, which is 28% of our housing is already affordable mobile home.
High density.
High density, yeah. Housing. So our township has substantial amount of mobile homes. As noted in the master plan, that is greater than all but one adjacent community. There was 12 communities in our study, and we far exceeded everybody around us for how many we have. So, to sum it up, there's nothing in the master plan that I can see that says we will increase or would want to increase mobile home park districts. We have to propose, the proposed property, I believe, is FR, and would have to go through the rezoning process that would include traffic studies, sewer studies, environmental impact studies. We'd have to look at expanding our public safety resources. Tyrone Township already includes 28% of our affordable housing, mobile housing, and I think it is unfair to ask our residents or the township to approve more homes, and what you're projecting is to have 35% or more in mobile homes. And I don't think that's fair to the residents in this community, or the gentlemen or the people who live on Hogan Road. That's a huge ask.
Again, what I would tell you is there was manufactured housing anticipated on a bulk of this expansion area. It was discussed in the consent judgment amendments, and the township's own future land use anticipates this expansion area, for the most part, being mobile home community. It would be our final expansion, and I understand there's a fair amount of that in the community. But again, we're looking to do good housing. It's highly needed, and it's consistent with what the township, at least in the master plan, in discussions in the consent judgment, have talked about historically. So.
Greg, I have a question for you.
Sure.
No, for Greg.
Oh.
Why didn't this go to the planning commission first? Why is it coming to, I know we're not gonna make a decision on this tonight, correct?
So because of the consent
Yeah.
judgments, we can, what they're asking for is, because of the consent judgments, we would have to be in agreement to go back to court and say we will revisit this.
Okay.
If the board chooses not to do that, then we don't do that. If we charge to do that, then they have to go through the regular rezoning process and all the studies that the planning commission will then.
I think we do.
In answer to your question, there was no reason to tie up
Okay, so I ask.
the zoning administration's resources unless
The board is willing to.
you are willing to allow this to happen.
I thought we weren't gonna make a decision tonight,
We don't have to,
but we could.
we could. Yes, we could.
Was there any other
If you
discussion
have enough
anybody had?
Well, I would object to making a decision again, per my comments at the beginning of the meeting, because it's the first time seeing this presentation. It hasn't been distributed or made available to all the residents on Hogan Road to be able to communicate and to get additional feedback and things of that nature. And I, appreciate Jennifer's additional characteristics and investigation. That was very helpful to me from the past, so thank you very much for that. But I would not want to make a decision without the knowledge or the engagement of the rest of the residents and give people time to do that.
We have another board meeting in a week. Is there any harm in postponing it until then? April 1st, right?
I don't think it will sway my view on it. Little presentation, he gave you a little history and what they wanted to expand it by.
I'm ready to make a motion.
I
Can I make one more comment? The other reason I'd say maybe we should is because public remarks, if we make a decision right now, the final public remarks is not good. Nobody out there knew what we were really gonna talk about in this request. So we've not had any public remarks on this. I have a feeling on what they're gonna say, but I'd still like to hear that before we make a motion to approve this. Give the residents, again, put it out to all the residents. Let's get them all in here. We're pretty sure we know what they believe and what they want, but I think we should give the residents an opportunity to speak on this themselves and to support our decision when we do make it, whatever it may be.
So postpone it, the engineer.
I would say postpone it to the next one if we could. That's, again, just so we give the residents an opportunity
Right.
to speak on this also.
I make a motion, we postpone it till the next meeting, so residents can speak on this.
Do I have a second?
I'll support it.
Do you know what date that is?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Nay.
Nay.
All right, motion carried. We will address this again at next week, Tuesday's meeting.
Will you make available the presentation at least as well that can be distributed to the public, or what do you?
Yeah,
I can
it's
make
already,
copies of
it's
it,
already
yeah.
available. I sent it to the
We
clerk
have-
earlier
yeah,
today.
we
Copy
have-
of it?
If
we
we could
can
just
get
put it
you
on the
that.
website, and is that possible to do that, put it on our Tyrone Township somewhere? So that we can just put it out there, hey, if you want to look at what this is, it's available on our
It'll be in the
website, Tyrone
packet.
Township website.
I think we,
I'm not sure if we can. We can try. I
can
mean,
try.
we certainly will put it in the
In
board
the
packet.
packet, and then by
you know,
default, be on the
And
website.
it'll be on the website that way.
Okay, yeah, just somewhere, so if anybody that wants to look at it, we'll have that opportunity also.
Can you add it to today's packet, since we covered it in today's meeting? It was an addition on the last, at the last minute. Can you just drop the presentation into the packet information?
we'll
Because
put
you
it
can't-
in, we'll put it
We'll
in
get
next,
to the next one.
the packet next.
Yeah, you can't go back and.
Yeah.
I was just trying to give
Thank you.
the public enough, as
Oh,
much
let me
time
give
as
you your
possible. We're
thumb
gonna wait a
drive.
week before we even do that, so.
April 1st,
Tomorrow.
and then the
15th.
Next Tuesday.
15th of April.
Would you guys consider the 15th, give a little more time for the public and everything, so I could attend? I wasn't there. Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Just I would like to attend if there's any way that you could delay till the 15th for discussion.
Okay, you can't make it.
I am in DC on next week.
I didn't make the motion, so.
I, yeah.
I'm good with that.
I would say that's up to Hearn. He's the one
Okay.
that made the
Yeah.
motion. So
He's in the
we'll
restaurant.
have to wait till Hearn comes back so he can,
I'll wait for
and then he can amend his motion, because I'm okay either way.
I think it makes it look better for the board, for the residents opposing it too.
It's all right.
No.
We're waiting on you, Mr. Ferguson.
Again, it's all right. Bill, can't,
Asked if we could move it to the.
would you let Herman know what your,
Yeah, respectfully, could we defer till the 15th meeting to consider this? I can't, I'm gonna be in DC next week, I'd appreciate a little more time. If you guys could defer to your 15th meeting, I would appreciate it.
It's okay with me.
If you can
That's
amend
fine.
your,
Right.
amend
So
your
you need
motion.
to amend your motion.
Okay. I amend my motion to move it to the 15th
I
of
got it.
April.
second?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much,
Opposed?
folks. Thank you.
The 15th, all right.
You are, you're important, Herman.
All right, Herman. Okay, moving on to item number 4, our commercial insurance policy renewal.
Greg, are there any changes to the existing policy? Are there any?
No.
To what the policies cover and things of that nature?
No, it's identical. to
My
what we had
understanding-
Is there an
last year.
addition? Is there
My
an addition
understanding
for
is
the-
it's a copy of what we did
Is
the last couple of years.
the cyber one an addition? Because I noticed
Yes,
it's
yes,
separate, so
yes.
that is an additional one.
That's an additional to
Okay,
bring
that's what I
it.
thought. All right.
Yes,
Which one? I'm sorry?
The cyber.
the cyber.
Cyber one.
Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
it was separated out, so I assumed it was in a new
It is.
policy we were looking at
Yes,
for
the
cyber.
cyber is always separate.
This one is, yeah.
Yeah,
So that brings the total to 33,712.75.
right.
And that's an annual rate?
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Not a
this is
monthly.
one.
Well, I'm just asking, you know.
Oh, I hope not.
Ouch.
So, yeah, did you have anybody have any questions on it? Per se, this, our insurance company is kind of like, they're Burnham and Flower, and they're kind of like a broker. They get us the best rates.
Yeah.
It's hard to find the liability insurance for townships. It's a selected group, so they have specialty boutique insurance companies, if you will, that specifically deal with townships. So this particular one has 73% of Michigan townships that get their insurance through them. And then it quotes in there a 98% member retention rate. So when they're brokering and they're going through all these different agencies that cater to townships, we're getting the best rate. I mean, we're not finding it any cheaper for the liability that we have as well as the cyber insurance.
So you did say this didn't go up from last year, or this did go up?
It did go up $8,000.
8,000, yeah.
Yes.
The policy
I
did
was
change,
surprised.
but just the rate.
1,000.
The rate changed.
Rate went up, yes. And
I was gonna be
so
surprised if it didn't.
annually, I have to complete forms for them. There's a bunch of forms regarding planning and zoning, that's about like 7 or 8 pages, based on who's applying for permits, did they get them, if they didn't, were they rejected and why were they rejected? So there's a lot that goes in just with planning and zoning. In addition to that, we have to indicate any lawsuits, and so we have one lawsuit that was present at the time when I completed the paperwork earlier this year. And so that all determines what our rate is going to be. And so that's why there was an increase, because of the one lawsuit that we had.
So we're voting on the insurance and the
Yep.
cyber all in one?
Yes, all in one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. So, guess I'm looking for a motion to approve the commercial insurance policy renewal.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Are the board members familiar with who this company is?
Yeah.
They
That's
are?
who we use.
No, I mean, are the trustees?
I'm not
Are
Burnham
the
and
trustees
Flowers?
familiar
Burnham and Flowers.
with
yeah.
Burnham and Flower Insurance Group?
That's the group that is reimbursing the township for the training I'm pursuing because it's considered risk reduction. And I can tell you from the little bit of training I've done so far that they are widely used and highly respected.
Most townships use it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Like I
really
said.
do negotiate the best rates for our township.
Like I said, 73% of townships in the state of Michigan utilize them.
Just so you know who they are. Okay, moving on to the 5, 6, and 7. These are just moratorium extensions. We are indeed working, and we can show progress on each one of these. And we are not limited to adding to these extensions. I do have to get a roll call vote on each one individually, though, to extend them.
Just to clarify, we're not working on individual ordinances for wind, battery, and solar at this time. Those are done. We're working on the overlay map reconsiderations is what would be driving the extension of these for some period of time.
Yeah.
And I think the Planning Commission is pretty close to making some decisions to recommend to the board around that. So I'm not sure that we necessarily need a 6-month type of extension on these in that sense, but I just wanted to make sure we were clear on what would be driving the renewal of these.
I have a question
Well, they're
about that.
expired, they're expiring, so we have to renew that.
The
Because
extensions
it's
are-
not 100% complete yet, so we have to extend it.
Well, we actually, it is complete. We do have an overlay map in place and voted on, and all of the ordinances, so everything's done. The moratoriums can be extended, or they don't, there's no requirement to extend the moratoriums in order to complete the map, the revised overlay map. The key is that the question is, do we want to extend the moratoriums for a short period, maybe 3 months, in order to complete the map for the renewable energy areas? I just want to clarify, there's no requirement to have a moratorium in place to complete the renewable energy overlay map.
I have a question, Chris, and maybe somebody else knows the answer to this, but is there any purpose in renewing moratoriums or keeping them in place since PA 233 has already gone into effect and we have ordinances adopted on the books? What is the purpose of extending moratoriums at this point? What does that do for us? Because if an application comes in, if I'm not mistaken, that would just be held to our current ordinances. Would a moratorium even have any effect?
Could Chuck answer, could you answer that, John?
Are the ordinances already adopted, whatever
Yeah.
changes? Then it's.
The board before us adopted those.
But the map overlay is not.
Yeah, no, we do have a map. It's just being
It's not approved by the
revised.
board yet.
Right,
We
but it
have
has
an
a map.
existing overlay map today.
Right.
That was considered undersized and sent back to the planning commission to revise. But that overlay map is in place today, undersized compared to what we're working on. So there's no issue, there is an overlay map in place. I don't want to mischaracterize that there isn't.
But it does need to come back to the board. correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah,
For the
any
change.
revisions,
After the
revision.
planning commission moves it
So
forward,
revisions to an
correct?
existing ordinance
Yes.
and overlay.
that's right.
If something is going to be coming back to the board, then I would recommend that you put the moratorium in place. And if it is for a shorter period of time, that would be better.
When does the moratorium expire?
But Chuck, the
April 1st
moratorium's not gonna prevent
is
an
one, and then the
application
other
from
one
moving
is the
forward if one
26th.
should come in, correct?
Does.
Because of the
Tomorrow.
law supersedes that.
Well, the moratorium is going to prevent the township from considering something. But if we're waiting on an overlay map to come back to the board to take action on, then I think you ought to extend the moratorium so that can happen.
I thought the PA 233 law going into effect last November meant that the moratorium was no longer effective.
No.
Am I incorrect? Okay.
I would have to take a closer look at it, but my understanding is if the township still has a piece of the puzzle that it has to finish, it's better to have the moratorium in effect.
Okay.
Right.
I make a motion, we extend it for 90 days.
So it has to be a resolution.
Resolution, okay.
Yeah, a resolution for commercial battery storage system.
Can I also just ask, I'm sorry, is there any update on where that appeal is in the court system?
I mean, the class action suit
Yeah.
that was filed by Foster Swift?
Yeah, while we're talking about it?
I have not heard anything about it. It would be nice to get an update, yeah.
Okay.
I'll get a hold of Foster Swift. I think that's a good idea, to get an update.
So do we need to?
I can tell you this, that at the Livingston County Planning Commission meeting last Wednesday that I was at, we did have a brief discussion after the meeting with a couple of the board members. And they indicated to me that our battery, wind, and solar ordinance is pretty solid and probably the best you're going to get at this point in time. And I left with the impression that not only was our battery, wind, and solar ordinance going to be used as a template, but I was also there mainly to hear them review our mining, our extraction ordinance, and they could not heap enough praises on Gerald Fisher, the author. And again, a couple of residents were there from Hogan Road and had valuable input to them. They really listened. And I'm really encouraged with our ordinances regarding extraction and battery, wind, and solar, from what the Livingston County Planning Commissioners conveyed to me.
Just one more thing, back to the Foster Swift. Do we not have to have a board vote to allow Greg to contact Foster Swift?
No, because it's
No,
on that
'cause we already
subject
approved
that they
him.
were contracted
That's what
for.
We already
contract
approved
is
to be
for.
part of that
Okay,
lawsuit.
okay, I just want to make sure.
Yep. Nope. Better be safe than sorry.
That's it. That's it. Where I'm at.
Herman's going to make a
Update
motion
from-
for the resolution.
Okay, Herman?
Yep.
So I make a motion for the resolution for commercial battery storage systems, moratorium extension for 3 months.
Support. You said for 3 months?
Yep.
Okay.
Roll call.
Yep.
Yes. Chris Repetta,
Yes.
Dean Haas,
Yes.
Sarah Dolman Jersey,
Yes.
Herman Ferguson,
Yes.
Greg Carnes,
Yes.
Jennifer Eden,
Yes.
Pam Mockler, yes. On to the next one.
Number 6, the commercial wind energy moratorium extension. I'll entertain.
For 3 months. We need a resolution.
I guess on this one, do we really need to do a moratorium extension on this? I mean,
Yes.
the wind, I understand that the battery and the solar, because they go together, because if they want solar, they're going to want a battery storage, but is wind really something we need to worry about in as far as, because we really aren't working on anything for wind, right? The ordinance for wind is in place. The big thing we're working on is the battery and the solar and the overlay to where we can put them.
Just to clarify, the overlay is a renewable energy overlay. It's not specific to any of them, but would
It's
include
not.
all of them.
Okay.
So the overlay is one overlay to cover all 3 of these, so we would probably still
Yeah.
want to
Yeah, we will.
extend it, even though it's not likely that we're going to get a wind application tomorrow necessarily.
Fair enough.
So, do we have a motion?
No resolution.
Or a resolution, I should say, yes.
Okay. I resolve a commercial wind energy moratorium extension for 3 months.
Support.
I'll do roll call. Jennifer Eden,
Yes.
Sarah Dolman Jersey.
Yes.
Herman Ferguson,
Yes.
Chris Repetta,
Yes.
Dean Haas,
Yes.
Greg Carnes,
Yes.
Pam Mockler, yes.
All right, number 7, resolution for commercial solar projects moratorium extension.
I resolve a commercial solar projects moratorium extension for 3 months.
Support. Or second.
Herman Ferguson,
Yes.
Greg Carnes,
Yes.
Chris Repetta,
Yes.
Jennifer Eden,
Yes.
Dean Haas,
Yes.
Sarah Dolman Jersey,
Yes.
Pam Mockler, yes.
All right, moving on to number 8, request for attorney John Gully of Garin Lukow Miller to represent the township at the public hearing to remove Chris Repetta as ex officio from the planning commission.
Before we discuss this item, Chuck, is it most appropriate for Chris to recuse himself from this matter?
Yes, there's certainly a conflict of interest. So I think it'd be best that he would do that.
I'll abstain from voting.
Does he have to abstain from the discussion as well?
Yes.
He should be abstaining from
Okay,
discussion and voting, yes.
Correct.
Did anyone have anything to discuss? Okay, I make a motion to request for Attorney John Galooly of Guerin Lucow Miller to represent the township at the public hearing to remove Chris Rapetta as ex officio from the Planning Commission.
Support.
We're going to do a roll call vote. Jennifer Eden,
Yes?
Herman Ferguson,
Yes.
Dean Hawes,
No.
Greg Carnes.
Chris, I like to keep you on the planning commission, but I have to do what's right for the township. Yes.
Sarah Dolman Jersey,
Yes.
Pam Moffler, yes.
Number 9, public hearing date selection.
I move that we schedule the public hearing for April 15th.
Support.
Make sure he's gonna be there.
Mr. Rapetta, are you
Hang
available?
on.
I think it would be appropriate, appropriate that he indicate whether he is able to be at that meeting or not.
Yeah, I'll be able to attend that meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Chuck.
And we'll do a roll call vote as well on this. Jennifer Eden,
Yes?
Herman Ferguson,
Yes.
Dean Hawes,
No.
Greg Carnes,
Yes.
Sarah Dolman Jersey,
Yes.
Pam Offler, yes, and Mr. Rapetta.
Abstain?
All right, moving on to miscellaneous business. Anybody have anything they want to, I guess then we'll move right into public remarks. Yes,
Yes.
yeah, come on up.
Okay, thank you. As most you know, Ted Mercer, Hogan Road. I kind of came here with an entire trick bag to talk about Hogan Road, but I have to say, thank you to my neighbors that brought up all the information like you always do. And thank you to this board for knowing what you know, and Jennifer, by the way, killer data brief, my God, that was awesome. Just seeing everybody act together on something that affects health and safety and welfare of the community. I know you don't hear a lot, but I love you guys. I'm filled with love with this. This is just outstanding. So with all the turmoil that's going on, I want you to know that some people appreciate all the work that all of you are doing. So that's my comment.
Hey,
Thank you,
thank you, Ted. Yeah.
My name is Richard Cerna. I reside on White Lake Road here in Tyrone Township, and I am dismayed at what has been going on with this board, especially you, Mr. Rapetta. This is not an attack on you. I voted for you. I highly regret voting for you. And the same with you, Mr. Haas. When two people can get together before December 10th and decide what they're going to do and coerce somebody else, Mr. Carnes, into sending out a letter, it's not appropriate. You guys have wasted a lot of time and a lot of money on this board. In my opinion, Mr. Rapetta, you should resign. You should resign from the board. You should resign from the Planning Commission. You should not be here. I voted for you, and I'm very disappointed in the actions that has been taken. Very disappointed. You've wasted our time. wasted our money, and I'm just livid about that. Maybe livid enough to start a recall petition against you, Mr. Rapetta, for either malfeasance or misfeasance. I'm looking forward to the public hearing. I will be here for that. I'm just very, very, very disappointed in what has happened. Very. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Jim?
I'm also disappointed, to be honest. You know, like I said, I seek out the truth. So what I did, I put this resolution for censure here. I read the Open Meetings Act here, and I put his attorneys over here. And I compare the three, right? I'm not picking sides. But if I'm gonna accuse somebody of something, I have to have something to accuse them of. And the wording in this resolution, to me, is what I'm ashamed of. That's what I think is a laughing stock. Because the words in there could have possibly violated the Open Meetings Act. What the heck is that? Possibly? Did he or didn't he? Stand behind it. I could stand right here and look at all 7 of you and go, one of you 7 or more could possibly be a serial killer. I can't take you to court. I got to have something to accuse you of. And that wording tells me, I think you know that's full of holes. Otherwise, stand up and say it. Accuse someone, right? But on the contrary, his attorney, and I've read the Open Meetings Act, there's a whole lot of holes. I just don't have time. But his attorney says any of this that's pursued will be vigorously fought, which I would do too. You accuse me, I'm going to fight it. And it will be overturned by any judge that reviews it. That sounds more confident to me than possibly maybe it did something wrong. And me, as a taxpayer, if you've been told, I'd like to know the legal legs that this thing has to stand on, because you just vote on another attorney, that's more taxpayer money. And if this thing goes to court and gets overturned, that was a complete waste of money. And I think that's where the laughing stock is. If he did something wrong, go after him. But no one's actually stood up and said, this is exactly what he did, other than intimidation. Whatever. My wife's a plant manager. She deals with that every day. If she tries to get someone to do their job, they see you're intimidating. You're profiling. Whatever. That's weak. It's weak. But I need someone to point out the law, because I've read through the Open Meetings Act, and that's all I can find in this resolution, and all I see is holes. That's all I see. And when you read the statement from his attorney that sat right here and said, this is why I'm telling you what I'm telling you, based on the law. He's quoting law. That's his job. And he sat right here and said, any of you that have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'll answer your questions. Well, if you're going to use words like possibly did it wrong, there's questions there. Why did no one ask him a question? I'd like to know. That's the sloppiness. And the same with misquoting me. That's sloppy work. Didn't come from him or him. Came from somewhere over here. And you should have voted no on the attorney. You know why? Because we don't even need one. Because there's no case. I'm disappointed in that, Greg. And when he votes no on the date and on the attorney, I don't even think he's voting no on which attorney. It's because we don't even need to waste our time with it.
All right, thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Jeanette Rapetta, Tyrone Township, you know people are holding out so they can come after me, right? Mark my words. Okay, I wasn't going to speak, but man, the disinformation in this township is unreal. Our community, including some board members and planning commissioners, are part of a mob that's been laser focused on one issue in the public forum, Chris's censure in the court hearing. It's not so surprising When you observe the actions and words, they're actually progressive Democrats, all while telling you they're Republicans, straight out of the lefties' playbook. Just watch their words, listen to their words, and watch their actions.
No. Come on, please.
100% true. And their mantra that this township can't get anything done, that's a lie. Plenty has been getting done. Just ask the Planning Commission, who, by the way, has had really awesome attendance and participation since they read a certain letter. How interesting. And ask Hogan residents, who openly thank Chris for leading the effort to get their issues finally addressed. But it's become very apparent those people who are wielding their pitchforks couldn't explain any of the pressing issues in our township if their life depended on it. I'm talking about Lansing working to remove our local zoning control, or the addition of 200 acres that the Planning Commission is looking to designate as possible sites for solar, wind, or battery. They don't know how detrimental any of these installations will be to our township, and they haven't been attending any of the related meetings or asking questions or doing any research. So if this board put even half the amount of effort into informing the public on real pressing matters, instead of defending its own political maneuvering, we might actually get somewhere. But education can't happen while transparency is missing. And I'll use two examples from the last board meeting. Residents were told that you, the board, couldn't answer questions, but then certain board members chimed in whenever it suited them. Go back and look at the video. So some people are worth answering and others are not. That's a terrible message to send. I have a suggestion. Why don't you write down those questions when people are asking them, and then during your miscellaneous business time, answer those questions. You claim that the OMA says you can't answer questions. It says you don't have to. And it certainly doesn't say you can't discuss those questions later on your own agenda. And then number two, only one board member brought up the fact that the clerk's 18% raise from last year was designated for 1 year only. Instead, this board voted to retain that raise and add an additional 6%. How dishonest is that? The clerk hid behind the statement that this is a new resolution, and the majority of board members agreed to pull the wool over the residents' eyes and to be dishonest. My last topic is about what I saw at the courthouse last week. Instead of repeating myself, please watch the video from last week's Planning Commission meeting. Of course, I was called a liar by the township snitch who's going to get up next to discredit anything I've said. I ask for just a second left, please.
No, for time's up.
Now, there's more issues to address, but you'll be hearing about them, and so will the public. We wouldn't want to have any double standards here, would we?
Come on, Janet.
Okay. You, the board, have set the precedents. It'll be interesting to see who doesn't feel that they need to hold to the same standards. Okay, and that's another one. You don't hold to the same standards, but you make sure that I do, right? Not to you, Greg. We know.
Scott?
Here he comes.
Just never stop. Stop.
Call me a liar again.
I'm not gonna call you a liar.
Well, you did last time.
Stop!
Scott Dietrich. Dean, I didn't start a recall, and I'm not gonna start a recall. But you hear, there's gonna be one coming. So I know you were asking. I'm upset. You had a responsibility to vote for right and wrong. You chose the wrong way. That's why that gentleman was mad, because a lawsuit was presented against this township. And yes, we misrepresentation and making false allegations, yeah, it's been coming the other way. Just, like she said, watch the video, but we never saw the video. She claimed that the board, the planning commission was giving her hand signs and acting bad. I was at the court, nothing happened. The Pettas were very nice. The planning commission and the board was very nice. Everybody acted professionally. There was no issues. So you have a responsibility. You took an oath to represent the township, not Chris Ropetta. I'm sorry, but it's got to be this way. There's been a lot of good work done in the past, Chris. I mean, you're very well spoken. You know what you're talking about, but you just don't follow what you talk about. You know, you know it. You know it all. I know a lot of it. We've worked together on this stuff. then you're letting everybody down. And you wonder, you just can't blame everybody else because you want to go your own way. That's not how it works.
Kevin?
I'm disappointed I'm not the township snitch, guys. A couple things. First of all, MCL section 15.263, parentheses 2, all decisions of a public body must be made open to the public. Since there are 3 board members that controlled the outcome of the letter, which is considered a township action, it is within private discussion, but it still resulted in a township action. And I just wanted to make sure that clarified Mr. Combs' response, because he couldn't read the law here. Good evening, members of the Township Board and fellow residents. Tonight I would want to discuss a topic, while often associated with clinical psychology, has significant implications for our community leadership, and that is narcissism. Narcissistic personality disorder is characterized by a pervasive pattern of grandiosity and a constant need for admiration. Individuals exhibiting such traits often display an inflated sense of self-importance. They may exaggerate achievements and expect recognition as superior without commiserate accomplishments. A preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, and brilliance. This can lead to unrealistic goals and a sense of entitlement. A sense of entitlement, they have an unreasonable expectations of favorable treatment or automatic compliance with their expectations for themselves or their friends. Interpersonality explosive behaviors may take advantage of others to achieve their own ends. Arrogant and haughty behaviors or attitudes, they may come across as conceited, boastful, or pretentious. When such behaviors are present in leadership positions, they have detrimental effects on organizational culture and effectiveness. Research indicates that narcissistic leaders often undermine collaboration, reduce organizational integrity, and prioritize personal gain over communal well-being. Moreover, narcissistic leaders can create environments where ethical standards are compromised. Their emphasis on self-interest can lead to decisions that are not in the best interest of the organization or community they serve. It's also noteworthy that such individuals may resort to legal actions when their positions or self-perceived authority is challenged, often as a means to assert control or defend against perceived slights. However, these actions frequently lack substantial merit and are dismissed accordingly. In our community, we've observed instances where certain behaviors align closely with these characteristics. While it is not my place to diagnose, it's imperative for us to remain vigilant and discerning about the traits and actions of those in positions of authorities. Recognizing these patterns is not about labeling individuals, but about safeguarding the integrity of our leadership and ensuring that our community's best interests are served. By promoting awareness and understanding of such behavior, we can foster more collaborative, ethical, and effective governance. If anyone in leadership or even within the community wants to seek help, I've actually compiled 18 pages of psychologists within a 20-mile radius, and you guys can come see me after the meeting if you guys would like it.
Thank you. There is.
Anybody else? Sure. Come on.
Steve Bissell, Indian View Trail. Is there anyone on this board, or is there anyone on the Planning Commission that has any idea how to act and speak professionally and face problems and challenges that you see or the Planning Commission sees and make honest attempts to slap the hands you need to slap, discipline the people you need to discipline, and move on with your lives? And I'm talking about the Planning Commission too. This whole circus is a set of personal vendettas and pissing each other off, and has nothing to do with community business or taking care of the entire 10,000 or 11,000 people that live in the community. Everybody's spending all their time playing whack-a-mole with each other, again, with both bodies, and spending all their time looking up what a narcissist is, et cetera, trying to belittle each other. Move along and take care of community business. It's so tiring and is so demeaning to everybody on this board and on the Planning Commission group to continue to act like 4-year-olds. I'll give you credit, 12-year-olds, because 4-year-olds don't know how to look up such big words as narcissist in the dictionary. So stop and move along, please. It's ridiculous. And I know all of you are much more intelligent than that. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah, Jim. Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't know. No.
Kurt Schultz, Silver Lake Estates number 2. You know, I've sat through an awful lot of meetings before, and I've never seen 3 people who want to destroy the township. I don't understand that whatsoever. We got a supervisor who stood up at the last meeting when we went over salaries and said, well, it's a 24/7 job, but I'm not going to be here and you can reach me by phone. That shows a lot of leadership, Greg, really. Should the clerk and the treasurer also have that same option? Get full-time jobs? And then the staff can reach them by phone, or the residents here. The 3 of you have done nothing but create hate and discontent in this township. You waste money, you waste time, you waste resources. You know, I just can't believe this. I support the board members who are taking a stand and won't be bullied. But this has got to stop. And Greg, you said last time, well, if the residents don't like it, they can get rid of me in 3.5 years. Well, no, we can actually do it next fall. And I will support anybody who wants to put together a recall for 3 people on this board. Thank you.
Why do I have to shush and they don't in the back?
I'm shushing them too, Jeanette. Is there anybody else? All right.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Before we do that, Chuck, can you do a recap of what happened? Because there was a citizen that's not concerned, or he doesn't know everything that happened, that we're fighting a useless battle. Is that something you can address here?
Laws quoted, that's what I asked.
Okay, here's the person to do it, right here. This is the one that recommended us to do it.
Why is his lawyer not asked this?
Okay, hey, would you? I'm asking a question.
No, that's not fair.
Is that something you can do, Chuck?
I can give a recap of what's happened. If the board wants me to do that, I can give you a recap.
Well, why we're pursuing this. There's a lot of people watching this right now that aren't really clear what
We need
happened,
laws
why we're doing
quoted
it.
to them, not stories, laws.
Yeah.
Maybe
We
it's
got a
best at the public
motion
hearing.
to adjourn.
Yeah. We'll cover that in the public hearing.
We have a motion. We have a motion to adjourn.
You gotta be kidding me.
Support.
Support?
Dean.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That'll be covered in the public hearing.
I voted no, so.
That's what